Okay, everybody. I don't really stream too much lately or record, but a lot of people have been asking me about my builds, so I'm gonna go through it. This is NRFB Toy Store. I know a lot of people start talking about their builds and then show you what it does. That's kind of backwards. So let me show you that my build actually works, and then I'll tell you exactly what I've done with it. Now, I'm just level 52 here. I've been in World Tier 3 for, I don't know, maybe an hour or two. Mostly just been messing around with Helltide. Did a world boss, that was a ton of fun. And, yeah. Where's the monsters? People killing all the monsters, not tonight. So the big thing about my build is, one, I pretty much never get damaged. This whole build is based around barriers, cooldowns, lucky hit, and you can also see my mana never really drops too much. I mean, I'm not even trying hard at the moment. You know, got to get into a rhythm with all the abilities. But why are you trying to attack me? So. Time to show you my build, and everyone's in my way. But you can see I'm kind of choking people right now. And this isn't even a damage build. This is primarily a stay alive build. I made this for hardcore because I was going to go for the first 1,000, but decided last minute not to get into it. So the general strategy is non-stop cooldowns. See right here, all cooldowns, I only have one mana spell. You can see I'm doing a lot of crits, a ton of overpower because I focus on lucky hit. Now you see there, I ran out of mana. It's already regenning. If I put icy armor on, it regens a lot faster. And every cooldown regens mana too. There's also, I got the last passive, so I occasionally do free shots. As long as there's two enemies that I'm hitting, I will never lose mana. If I'm only fighting one enemy, I can cycle through all my cooldowns, and, you know, maybe once, like every 30 seconds for 2 seconds, I'll have to take a break if I'm fighting a boss. But you have to dodge the area of attack, anyway, so not that big a deal. You see down here, look at that barrier. I had a 1,000 point barrier, and it rejuvenates itself every time I do an attack. I'm just doing attacks here. I do the cooldown, and boom, 362. Every time I do that icy armor, 800. So, as you can see, I have no basic skill. I just have my core ability, and then 5 cooldowns. So, let me explain why this actually works. Because so far I've not seen anyone doing anything close to this. Again, it is not the highest DPS. You saw I was doing pretty good damage there. But there are better DPS. Fire is probably better DPS, but Frost has so many different utility, slowdowns, debuffs. Okay. So unfortunately, you can't skip this. I really want Blizzard to put a passive in here, even just like plus 1% damage or anything, because I don't use this at all. Waste of points. Ice shards, I get 2 points in because I need that as a minimum. I don't need additional mana. And the resistance, casting a non-basic skill, you gain resistance. You know, I might actually put a point into that real quick. Adjusting on the fly, people. Okay, so ice shards. Launch 5 ice shards, deal damage, increase damage to frozen enemies. Now, that ties into the big skill here, piercing damage. It deals less damage per pierce, but it hits more people. Why that is important is right here. Hitting an enemy with 5 ice shards in a single cast makes them vulnerable for 2 seconds. When you have piercing, everyone in a row gets hit with vulnerability. On top of that, 40% chance of ricochet. I believe that counts for each person pierced. Because I can cast this twice, and I will make like 10 people vulnerable. And it works very well. You run as they line up, you just hit them all, boom, everyone's vulnerable. So then, Frost Nova. Killing enemies who have been hit with Frost Nova reduces the cooldown by 1. This is very big because all this is cooldowns. And also you generate 4 mana per enemy hit. That's a big one to remember. Ice armor, just basic protection. But here, damage against vulnerable enemies contributes 50% more to ice armor's variable. So as my basic attack makes everyone vulnerable, all the damage I do feeds my barrier. This is why I never get damaged. All the damage I do ends up increasing my armor. So big ones here. Elemental Attunement. Critical hits up to 15% have a chance to reset cooldown of one of your defensive skills. I have 2 defensive skills. So either one of these getting reset, it's great for me because I operate on cooldowns. Right here, lucky hit chance. I have a huge lucky hit chance. I'll explain that in a bit. This is a very heavy conjuration build. The entire build is really around ice blades. Because of the second upgrade here. 20% enhanced ice blade cooldown reduction applied to other skills. That means all my cooldowns get cooled down whenever ice blades attacks a vulnerable target. My ice shards makes everyone vulnerable. And Lightning Spear is just to have another conjuration in play, so I get this bonus of deal 3% increased damage for each active conjuration. With this current build, I've had up to 6 conjurations in play at one time. We'll go into that shortly. This is just using a cooldown grants me a barrier. I might put another point into this just to max it out. I just need to figure out, again, it's do I want more defense or do I want more damage? So right now, that's like the only defense thing I don't have maxed out. I picked the damage over here. Honestly, stun hits so seldom and I freeze everyone. If I get to the point that people start damaging me, I'll take off of that, put over here. Here you see I have nothing selected. That's item. I don't use any of these skills because those take up mana, and I like my infinite mana ice shards. So if you have barrier active, which I always do, every attack I have more barrier, I apply more chill. Frost skills have a chance to instant freeze, and then barriers have increased duration. So all those 2-second barriers are now at 2.2 second. All the 6 seconds are like 7.5 seconds. It all adds up. So this one, Deep Freeze, it's actually a horrible damaging attack. But when it ends, I get a decent little barrier. Plus, it resets my barriers. With all the other cooldown reduction stuff I have, as soon as I cast this, I can cast all my cooldown abilities, cast this, and by the time it's done, it's 4 seconds of immunity. So this is great if you're being attacked by an area of effect boss. You'll be immune, you won't get hit by anything. By the time it's done, your mana's full, and all your cooldowns are refilled. This, frost skills do damage to elites. Obviously, those are the ones you want to hurt. More damage, cold damage to vulnerable. Cold damage against vulnerable enemies has a 20% chance to generate 15 mana. All except for the lightning spear. All of this is cold damage. So as long as I do my ice shards and make people vulnerable, 20% chance to generate 15 mana on lucky hit. My lucky hits are like 75% or something. The reason why is you get this lucky hit increase there, and then just general equipment I keep adding on. And then the avalanche, lucky hit, your frost skills have a 10% chance to make, and this is all your frost skills. So any frost skill you do has a 10% chance to make the next cast of ice shards consume no mana and deal 40% increased damage. Chances doubled against vulnerable enemies. Again, everything I fight the first thing I do is make them all vulnerable. So this is roughly, with my lucky hit, like every 6 ice shards I do is free. Then roughly every 7th enemy I damage regenerates 15 mana. And then we go into the aspects. Big one right here. No. Here we go. And this is on the low end. This is a common Codex imprint. Using a cooldown reduces 15 mana. I have all these cooldowns. Frost Nova I have 2 of because of this aspect. Gain a second charge, but the cooldown is increased. The thing is, I found it actually procs for both of these. So if you use both Frost Novas, and you see it has reduces cooldown by 1 second, if you use both Frost Novas, it'll actually take 2 seconds off because it's filling up 2 different Frost Nova counters. So this ability, this modifier, doubles when you are using this aspect. When you freeze an enemy, there's a chance they become vulnerable. So this is for my Frost Nova and Deep Freeze, which both freeze the enemy. So that's becoming, giving me increased vulnerability chances. Deal damage to frozen enemies. That's just damage multiplier. Ice shards, again, very big for the build. This is just randomly thrown on there. I didn't need anything else. I like this one. Just when you deal any form of damage, it increases your armor. Obviously 2 gems all into barrier generation, but because I'm constantly doing damage, I constantly have buffed up armor. This one I love, ice armor. You leave icy spikes behind that chill the enemy. That just stacks with everything else that's happening. This is just nice to have, but it's not required for the build. The heal for whenever someone's close. When you combine it with Deep Freeze, you're immune for 4 seconds, but everyone's charging at you, so this aspect will also fully heal you. And then that's just a throw in too. It's not needed, so you only need half these aspects to really do the build. I'm sure there's a few more that I forgot. I'll link the Diablo planner in the description. That I made it before the game released, but it's still what I'm following because I did this during beta and I loved it. Now the big thing I aim for is, you see right there, lucky hit chance. Lucky hit chance and mana cost reduction. Not overly needed, but it does help a little bit. If you have really bad rolls with a lucky hit, you might run out of mana, but it seldom happens to me. Anything damage to frozen, plus conjuration skill is huge, and that's the one thing I have not explained yet. Okay, barrier generation, vulnerable damage. Usually I have, there we go, cooldown reduction. I usually have more cooldown reduction, but I don't have all sacred. I'm still upgrading. So the final thing is enchantments. Right here, Icy Blades. For every 40 seconds in cooldowns you spend, you spawn an Icy Blade. Now, the Icy Blade reduces cooldowns of all other cooldowns and itself. I'm doing nothing but cooldowns. If I hit with all these abilities, boom, 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 casting this, doing all these, casting this again, and then doing the Deep Freeze, I will have about 6 conjurations out in play. 5 Icy Blades, all reducing cooldown times of everything else, and the Thunder Spear. During the full 4 seconds I'm in Deep Freeze, it will respawn at least 1 Frost Nova, Lightning Spear. Almost everything will respawn itself on my cooldown counter, and I'll have full mana when I come out. Now this one right here, your conjuration skills, which is this right here, and the Ice Blades that I will have up to 5 of every time I go into combat, and pretty much every 15 seconds I'll have another 5. Your conjuration skills have up to a 30% chance to unleash a Frost Nova. Which the Frost Novas reduce cooldown when you kill, and also generate mana from each one hit. These proc each other. Once you get all that together, where's my lucky hit? Again, lucky hit is probably the most... It's lower now than it was. Okay. Lucky hit chance, 35.6%. And I think when you go over, see here we go, Ice Blades, lucky hit chance of 96%. So I'm not sure. Frost Nova doesn't say a lucky hit. I'm not sure if the lucky hit... Yeah, so this is your conjuration skills. My conjuration skill has a lucky hit of 96%. So 1 out of 3 times I hit, they end up doing a little Frost Nova. It doesn't seem to be the same radius as mine, but I see it. I see people get frozen. It hits. So, yeah, that's my build. Paragon, I'm still low level, so I'm still working on everything. But again, I'm going to tag my Diablo planner. If you want to chat, I'm in many of the forums, and Battle.net is, well, everywhere. Twitter, YouTube, Battle.net, Discord. I am NRFB Toy Store, so...
Time for our roads to part.